How May's position has evolved on the transition bill, laws. Foreign speech will be latest major address on Brexit. Follow at Brexit for all the latest news, and sign up to our daily Brexit Bulletin newsletter. The world is still waiting to know what Theresa May meant when she first uttered Brexit means Brexit 15 months ago. The British Prime Minister's soundbite is a statement of the obvious, but it's proved hard to deliver. She's not only at odds with European Union negotiators, but also with members of her own Conservative Party and perhaps even most of the electorate on what life on the outside will look like and what it will cost. On Friday she heads to Florence, the capital of 15th century European trade and finance, to clarify her vision and breathe life back into gridlock talks. She will speak 8 months since her first Brexit address at London's Lancaster House and 6 months after she triggered Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty that started the clock on 2 years of talks. June's disastrous election forced a rethink and a series of position papers came in its wake. Here are key issues and how the UK stance has evolved since January about the transition at Lancaster House. May said it is in no one's interests for there to be a cliff edge for business, but that permanent political purgatory was unwelcome too. She suggested a phased process of implementation of whatever deal the two sides had agreed. Since then, the government has come around to a post-Brexit transition with Chancellor of the Exchequer Philip Hammond leading the charge. He advocates a status quo phase with continued access to the single market and customs union. Others would prefer a bespoke plan, and there are questions over the length of transition. Hammond advocates 3 years, as do businesses, but Trade Secretary Liam Fox and Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson prefer a quicker break. But nothing comes for free. Then there is the matter of the price. The EU has said should a time-limited prolongation of union acquis be considered, the UK must accept its rules for the duration, including free labour movement. There could be a financial price, with May declining to deny she will offer to cover the €10 billion, $12 billion, whole Brexit will open up each year in the EU's budget. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has signalled discomfort with that, but might back May. If nothing else, talk of a transition has undermined May's threat of January that no deal is better than a bad deal, although the warning is still made from time to time. Hammond has called that scenario a very bad outcome. The bill to settle the signature sticking point of the talks is the financial settlement the EU wants the UK to pay. Several sums have been bandied about. Up to a gross €100 billion was the figure circulating before the summer, but Britain has been largely silent on what it's willing to pay or even how the bill should be structured, much to the EU's irritation. The Lancaster House address said we will not be required to contribute huge sums to the EU budget, and that the days of Britain making vast contributions to the European Union every year will end. March's Article 50 letter was more diplomatic. We will need to discuss how we determine a fair settlement of the UK's rights and obligations as a departing member state, in accordance with the law and in the spirit of the United Kingdom's continuing partnership with the EU. This week she added more room for manoeuvre by saying payments would go on year on year on year. What is fair? By July the government was saying it would work with the EU to determine a fair settlement of the UK's rights and obligations as a departing member state, and that it recognises there are obligations that need to be resolved. Johnson didn't help matters by declaring in July that the EU could go whistle if it wanted a large settlement, before conceding on August 25 that of course we will meet our obligations. May has always said there may be some specific European programs she is willing to subscribe to. But does that also mean paying for trade? Brexit Secretary Davis and Hammond have suggested an openness to doing that, but Johnson wrote in the Daily Telegraph on September 16 that we would not expect to pay for access to their markets any more than they would expect to pay for access to ours. Taking back control in January, May declared Britain would reclaim control of our own affairs and bring an end to the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. The Conservative election manifesto also pledged to ensure control of our own laws. However, on August 23 the government introduced some wiggle room by saying it was only averse to direct jurisdiction and would accept a close cooperative relationship with the ECJ, perhaps realizing it needed to give some ground to secure a trade deal. It said it would be open to monitoring EU case law, abiding by past ECJ rulings, talking